Okay, guys, I'm sorry I lost you. I clicked off by accident. I didn't mean to. So we're going to pick up where I think we were when we left off, which we were talking in verse 6 about, for you have forsaken your people, the house of Jacob, because they were filled with eastern ways. They were soothsayers like the Philistines, and they are pleased with the children of foreigners. And so when I was looking at that, I thought to myself, well, that's idolatry, and that's doing things that he truly doesn't want us doing. We're, those folks were looking at things that were actually replacing God. Replacing the power of God, the reverence of God, the whole 9 yards. And so it's idolatry. And so when I defined idolatry through Webster, it says the worship of idols, or excessive devotion to, or reverence for some person or thing. An idol is anything that replaces the one true God. And I would even venture to say not only the one true God, but his power, his majesty, his all of it. So the most prevalent form of idolatry in Bible times was the worship of images that were thought to embody the vaguest pagan deities. And so it's an idol is anything that replaces the one true God. And so I can understand why he's saying what he's saying now. He's saying that they are soothsayers. We're told to stay away from fortune tellers, divination, all of it. We're told to stay away from all of it. And so verse 7, their land is also full of silver and gold, and there is no end to their treasures. So they're abundant with wealth. Their land is also full of horses, and there's no end to their chariots. And so they have a ton of everything. They have a lot of wealth. They have a lot of horses and chariots, and all of that would have been wealth back then too. And their land is also full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their fingers have made. People bow down, and each man humbles himself. Therefore, do not forgive them. So he's speaking of pride. He's speaking of self-sufficiency. The more you have, the less you need God. And you cannot continue to go on in your life without God. Because at some point, there's going to be a breakdown somewhere. There's definitely not going to be any peace available. And so what he's talking about here is that man cannot rule the world and leave God out. There will never be peace. There will never be peace. Now, at this point, I do want to talk to you about the Song of Solomon, because the Song of Solomon in Deuteronomy 32 speaks of this. This is something that he has told us in the Song of Solomon. So what happened is Moses wrote several songs. He wrote several songs. But this is one that the Lord God instructed him to write and to give just before he died. Okay? And this is what it is. And it's all written out in Deuteronomy 32. So let's read what it says. Keeping this in mind, okay? Keeping what we just read in mind about treasure, silver, gold, horses, chariots, idols, etc. Okay? Deuteronomy 32. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. Let my teaching drop as the rain, my speech distill as the dew, as raindrops on the tender herb, and as showers on the grass. For I proclaim the name of the Lord. Ascribe greatness to our God. He is the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are justice, a God of truth and without injustice. Righteous and upright is he. They have corrupted themselves. They are not his children. Because of their blemish, a perverse and crooked generation. Do you thus deal with the Lord, O foolish and unwise people? He is not your father, Is he not your father who bought you? Has he not made you and established you? Remember the days of old, and consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High divided their inheritance to the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, and he set the boundaries of the peoples, according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the place of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land, and in the wasteland a howling wilderness. He encircled him. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. As an eagle stirs up its nest, hovers over its young, spreading out its wings, taking them up, carrying them on its wings, so the Lord alone led him, and there was no foreign god with him. He made him ride in the heights of the earth, that he might eat the produce of the fields. He made him draw honey from the rock, and oil from the flinty rock, curds from the cattle, and milk of the flock, with fat of lambs, and ram of the breed of Bashan, and goats, with the choicest wheat. But you drank wine, the blood of grapes, and you drank wine, the blood of grapes. But Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, you grew thick, you are obese. For he forsook God who made him, and scornfully esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with foreign gods. With abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to demons, not to God. To gods they did not know, to new gods, new arrivals, that your fathers did not fear. Of the rock who begot you, you were unmindful, and have forgotten the God who fathered you. And when the Lord saw it, he spurned them, because of the provocation of his sons and daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them, and I will see what their end will be. For they are a perverse generation, children in whom is no faith. They have provoked me to jealousy by what is not God. They have moved me to anger by their foolish idols. But I will provoke them to jealousy by those who are not a nation. I will move them to anger by a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn to the lowest hell. It shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap disasters on them. I will spend my arrows on them. They shall be wasted with hunger, devoured by pestilence and bitter destruction. I will also send against them the teeth of beasts, and poison of serpents of the dust. The sword shall destroy outside. There shall be terror within. For the young man and virgin, the nursing child, and the man of gray hairs, I would have said, I will dash them in pieces. I will make the memory of them to cease from among men. Had I not feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should misunderstand, lest they should say, our hand is high, and it is not the Lord who has done all of this. For they are a nation void of counsel. Now, he just said that in another message. He said, those who have it not are void of understanding. He's coming to judge. This is what's getting ready to happen. For they are a nation void of counsel, nor is there any understanding in them. Oh, that they are wise, that they understood this. that they would consider their latter end. How could one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight, unless their rock had sold them and the Lord had surrendered them? For their rock is not like our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. For the vine is the vine of Sodom, and the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of gall, their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of serpents, and their cruel venom of cobras. Is this not laid up in store with me, sealed up among my treasures? Vengeance is mine, and recompense. Their foot shall slip in due time, for the day of their calamity is at hand, and these things to come hasten upon them. For the Lord will judge his people, and have compassion on his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, and there is no one remaining, bond or free. He will say, What are their gods, the rock in which they sought refuge, who ate the fat of their sacrifices, and drank wine of their drink offering? Let them rise and help you, and be your refuge. Now see that I, even I, am he, and there is no God besides me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Nor is there any who can deliver from my hand. For I raise my hand to heaven and say, As I live forever, if I whet my glittering sword, and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies, and repay those who hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, with the blood of the slain and the captives, from the heads of the leaders of the enemy. Rejoice, O Gentiles, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and render vengeance to his adversaries. He will provide atonement for his land and his people. So Moses came to Joshua and spoke the words of the song and to the people, and when he finished it, he said, Set your hearts on all the words that I testify among you today. And then basically he went up to Mount Nebo and died. So this Deuteronomy 32, it's telling us, it's warning us, don't get so much stuff going around you and things that you have that you are fat and obese and you don't need God anymore. Don't do that. Because what happens is you run into trouble. You can't get to the point where you don't think you need God anymore, because God has given you everything that you have. He's given it all to you. So when he's talking about here, when he's talking about the land is full of silver and gold, there's no end to their treasures, it's full of horses, there's no end to chariots, it's full of idols, they worship the work of their hands, they don't worship God, they worship themselves and what they've provided with their own hands. They don't say this is from God. They bow down, but they humble themselves. They don't humble themselves before God. So then he's saying, enter into the rock and hide in the dust for the terror of the Lord and the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of a man shall be humbled. The haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. So we know that in the day of the Lord, every knee will bow. Every knee will bow. But he has said this to us too in that message on the 15th. He said, I'm coming to judge. He said, I will be there. I will be here to sort through the right and the wrong, the good and the bad, the meek and the proud. So he's talking about this. He's talking about these people right here. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall come upon everything proud and lofty, upon everything lifted up, and that shall be brought low. And it goes on and says, upon every tower, upon every fortified wall. You know, he's talking about upon. Here we go. I think I have some of this documented. I want to read you what I have here. He's saying that the military is going to be judged. When he's talking about every high tower and every fortified wall, or every wall with a fenced area, he's talking about, or a fenced city. He's talking about the military is going to be judged. And upon the ships of Tarshish and upon the beautiful slopes, or the beautiful pictures, he's talking about commerce. We know the ship of Tarshish brings in commerce. And the beautiful slopes or pictures, he's talking about art. He's talking about that. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness shall be brought low, and the Lord alone will be exalted in that day, and all the idols he shall utterly abolish. He's going to take them down. I mean, anything, you know, guys, we talked about there was going to come a day when the Lord was going to shake, and anything that was not of God was not going to remain. So anything that was of God will remain. And so any of these idols where people have all of their trust and faith in wealth, in money, or in material things, in art, in commerce, or in military, or anything like that. Anything that is being, when we defined it, what was it? Anything that replaces the one true God. Idolatry. Idols are going to be gone. So if it is not of God, if it is not of God, it is not going to withstand the shaking. It is not going to withstand the shaking. He says here, they shall go into the holes of the rocks, and go into the caves of the earth, and from the terror of the Lord and the glory of this majesty, when he rises to shake the earth mightily. And that's what's going to happen, guys. That's what's going to happen. So listen what he says here. Verse 20. In that day a man will cast away his idols of silver and idols of gold, which they made for each for himself for worship, to the moles and to the bats. Well, it's not going to be worth anything anymore. Because God's shaking it. He's saying, it's not going to be. It's not going to be. None of that's going to mean anything anymore. So if that's where you've got your worth, if that's where you think your wealth's tied up, if that's where you think it's going, if that's what you have made into your God, I'm shaking it all away. I'm going to show you who the real true God is. And that's what he's getting ready to do. Go into the clefts of the rock, into the crags of the rugged rocks, from the terror of the Lord. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? When he rises to shake the earth mightily. Listen to what he's saying here. To shake the earth mightily. He's not talking about an earthquake. Here's the earth, right? He's not talking about an earthquake over here. He's talking about the earth shaking. That's what he's talking about. This is why people are going to be running, trying to head for the hills. Because they're going to know this is being done by the hand of God. They're going to know. And they're going to know everything that they had put all of their stock in before is not going to mean nothing. If it's not the Lord God, and it's not what his power can do, and it's not what his strength can do, and it's not what his love can accomplish, and it's not all through him, period. The power, energy, words, all of it. All of it. If it's not him, it's not going to mean nothing. It's not going to mean nothing. So here's verse 22. So sever yourself from such a man. So God's telling us right here, get away from those people. Get away. Because, if you're too close, lightning going to get you too. What's that story? If you're too close to someone, lightning's, going to come, you could get it too. But whose breath is in his nostrils? For what account of he? So sever yourselves from such a man, whose breath is in his nostrils. For of what account is he? Meaning her life is just like a vapor. So here you're going to be following some man whose life is just like a vapor, and not the Most High God, the God that created everything, who is alive and well today. This is what he's saying. Stop following all this other little stuff. So let's double back. So we're talking about, this is a future time. This is a time that's coming. Now we know it's not here right now because, or it's getting ready to come in because, we're not beating our swords into plowshares yet. Not yet. But we know that that when we go to the house of God of Jacob, he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his path. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the law from Jerusalem. Now we know that that's the government and religion. So we know then, okay, well, Jesus must be here, right? I believe the 144 are going to be involved in this as well. But this is a judgment time. This is a judgment time. He shall judge between the nations, and he shall rebuke many people. So this is a judgment time. So yes, there's going to be peace, but the Lord is going to be judging. And I think the 144 are going to be part of that. I think the 144 are going to be part of that. So guys, I just wanted to go over what he was showing me here. And it is a lot of information. There's just a lot of information. But it's my understanding that Isaiah 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, 4 of them are all the same prophecy. And so, because remember, all last year, or the beginning of last year, it was Isaiah 4, Isaiah 4, Isaiah 4. And that was linking into, when it was Isaiah 4, that was linking into the rod information. Remember, and was that Isaiah 11 or something? I don't know what it was, but it was, the branch of the Lord shall be beautiful and glorious. And so this is all Isaiah 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's 4 books that are all, or 4 chapters that are all the same, dealing with the same prophecy. So I don't know if the Lord's going to have me come and talk to you about the rest of them or not. But either way, thanks for sitting in on this one. I apologize that my video clicked off. I've got a lot going on here, but I'll try and link this as part number 2. And you guys can go ahead and finish watching it. So guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much. God bless you. Stay under the wing of the Lord, and I will continue to keep you all in prayer. I ask that you do the same with me. God bless you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.